How's it going, John?
Oh, it is continuing to go, which is an okay thing. I would say, my normal response is, "Oh, it's fine," but that actually might have a little more context at the moment. This is fine.
Yeah.
We're we're the dog with the coffee cup.
Yeah. I I saw a tweet somewhere, so it's not my joke, but the the tweet was beta testing the apocalypse in 2020.
Well, I would say that I've used the word apocalyptic skies a couple of times in the last 24 or 36 hours. So,
Uh-huh.
I guess the larger context of this is for people who are not actually in Oregon at the moment, or for people who are not listening to this like this week, is that Oregon is currently experiencing California levels of wildfires at the moment.
And a lot closer to the heavily populated areas than normal. Normally, Oregon gets the wildfires out in the middle of nowhere in eastern Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've got one 2 miles from my house. which is
Yeah.
a few more miles than is comfortable, and I feel bad for all the people on the hill back there. So this is they're calling it the Midway Fire here, but it's not very far away. Actually, my wife and I spent last night. We got up every hour just to kind of check on things and see if the wind had turned, and go out and check, just take a look for ourselves and make sure that we, didn't have an evacuation order. And we have bags for ourselves, and all the kids, both boys have a bag, and we put the things that we would want to put into the truck to drive away, like all our physical photo albums and stuff like that, up in a bin by the door.
Right.
Hooked up the horse trailer so that we could throw the horses in there if we got the evacuation order. But
Yeah.
thankfully for me, not thankfully for the people up on the hill, but the wind is blowing from the east, so it's kind of blowing it away from us. And I don't know. I literally went out to take a look once it got dark, a little bit before we started recording here, and it is dark tonight, which is great, because it was not. It had this, sort of red glow in the sky, and you could see the flames from, our house yesterday.
I saw the picture you posted on Twitter from last night.
Yeah, it was last night. Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know people that, have houses up on that hill too. So I'm, at least so far, the people that I know are okay. And last I had heard, there have been some barns that had burnt, but not houses. And the at least for that one, the fire department had it. I think they didn't use the word. They didn't give a percent contained, at least in the last I had seen, but they said that they had the upper hand. I'm like, okay, and that was also from earlier today. That had burnt 2,000 acres, which is not a mega fire, but too close for comfort.
Coincidentally, or I guess that's a good enough word there, is my boy and I went up to Bald Peak State Park, which is right in the middle of where this fire is going on.
That's totally true.
On Monday night, was it Monday or Sunday? Either Sunday night or Monday night, we drove up there because he wanted to do some extended exposure photographs of the stars. He wanted to see if he could actually see the Milky Way, the haze of the Milky Way, and take some pictures of the Big Dipper and things like that. So we drove up, I think it was 10 o'clock at night, to Bald Peak State Park, and took a bunch of pictures. And then, a day later, you can't get there because it's all closed out. It's all the evacuation orders. So
correct.
Strange times.
Yeah. Did any of the pictures turn out?
Yeah.
Is it dark enough up there?
It was. He's been doing research, so he went and found that they said the best time to do that kind of photography is 2 hours after sunset, which would be 10:40, I think. I think it's 9:40 is sunset or 7:40 is sunset, so 9:40 and then on. I think it's 7:40 is sunset, somewhere around there. And so we got out there about 10, and there were still people in the parking lot, and we had to deal with, people turning on their headlights and driving away. But for the most part, we got a few good pictures, but it was with my old camera that I had 15 years ago, 12 years ago. It's a Canon 20D. So nice camera. We had the nice camera 10 years ago.
Right.
But, so it kind of worked out. He had to do some touch-ups to the pictures, and he was happy. Let me just put it this way. He was happy, so I was happy. He got what he wanted.
I've been surprised at how much light pollution there is, even as far out as I live, which isn't quite all the way to Bald Peak State Park here. But Hillsboro and Portland, it's just a glow on the horizon. Can't see any stars if you look east. And so we had a hard time a couple of, weeks ago, whenever that comet Neowise came through. We were trying to figure out where to go, and I had a really hard time spotting it, just because of the light. Although Bald Peak State Park might have been a good spot to go too, but for that,
yeah, it was nice.
It's cool.
Not much more than really a parking lot and some dirt, but there's some trees.
I've driven by it.
A place to park.
I've driven by it. Yeah.
Well, then you haven't. Then you've seen it.
Yeah. No, actually, it's been part of this. Looking at the whole fire stuff going on here is kind of freaking us out a little bit in that when we went to buy this house, the house we live in now, and we were shopping, took us a while, and we looked at a number of places, but at least 2 of the houses that we looked at were out in the area that is, currently under evacuation notice and has been burned. And if for both of those other houses, actually we liked them a lot, but they were just too far out. But we're like, oh, don't burn down that house. That was a lovely house. So yeah. Oof. And I guess the thing that's kind of kicking this particular set of fires off in Oregon, at least, is the way Oregon is Oregon has the coast to the west, and the wind blows from the west, and it brings moisture over from the ocean and kind of keeps our weather really temperate even here in the valley. But when the wind blows from the east is the desert and much drier air, and so we had huge wind gusts. I don't know how windy it was on Monday night. Did you ever see any like peak gusts? It was hard to stand in.
My boy, the budding weatherman, he said there was some over 50 miles an hour and sustained in the 25 to 30. So for Oregon, that's fast winds.
Yeah. Well, I lost a huge branch. I tweeted a photo of that too. A huge, it might be the main trunk of the tree. I haven't gotten in to find out how much is down, but it's big. It's 2 feet or more across for the branch. And kind of came down on a temporary fence that, I was out in the wind, kind of with a chainsaw, trying to just get the minimum amount done so that I could get the fence to be safe. But essentially that brought super dry, super windy air over, so that any sort of spark would it's been very dry here for months. Yeah. And so any sort of spark will light a blaze. I mean, another one of the ones that's burning at the moment is, they call it the power line fire, and that's it was a downed power line that they believe is what started that one. So
Right.
There's a bunch of fires burning in Oregon right at the moment.
I was going to say I was just Googling around for fires in Oregon and how different this one is. And so one of the articles I came across was that, just for some context about how abnormal this is for Oregon, a megafire is one that covers 100,000 acres or more. And from the entire 1900s, 1900 to 1999, Oregon saw 6 total. But from 2000 until now, so for the last 20 years, there's been 11.
Wow.
And there was never more than 2 in a year. And currently, as of right now, depending on how you want to count the fires, there are either 3 or 4, because I think one of them merged, or 2 of the fires have merged over in the eastern part into one super, super big one.
Super ultra mega fire.
Ultra ultra mega fire. It's not normal for Oregon. So,
oof. Well, 2020 cannot end soon enough for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well,
back to your first joke.
I was going to say, I'll give you one bright point.
Okay.
I channeled my inner John and I built a fence. Over Labor Day, and I'm quite proud of it. I'm patting myself on the back. I was so proud of it. I tweeted a picture.
I saw the photos. It looked great.
Yeah. The best part of it was, so I mentioned before, I'm getting my entire deck replaced. So what I just asked the guys who were tearing down the deck, I said, just leave me that part and that part and that part, because I want to use that, reuse that part of my old deck and put up a fence. It's not called a picket fence. What kind of fence is that? It's like a railing. It's not.
I don't know. Sorry, dude.
I don't know what kind of fence it is. It's the deck railing. That's what the fence is.
Yeah.
Because I had a section in my backyard that never had it connected. It kind of went from one fence, and then there was a big gap, and it was kind of because it was behind a hill and right on the top of a hill and down a hill a little bit. And then the rest of the railing that kind of went around the back patio, because there's a pretty decent slope down the backside of my house. So anyways, too late to make a long story short, unless you get creative with editing. But
you have built a fence.
I built a fence, and it's almost done.
I wondered. Okay. So so you reuse the railing from your deck to make your fence.
Yes. Exactly.
That's brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was essentially free. I had to go buy a couple new posts. And since it was short, it's only 3.5 feet tall, 4 feet tall, whatever the required height is for code for deck
for a railing.
That's how tall it was. So I went and got a post, cut it in half, a 12-foot post, cut it in half, buried it, and so that was pretty much all I had to buy was the posts. I set those and waited until Labor Day and built a fence.
You didn't even borrow a post hole digger or a nail gun or anything else. I have all sorts of tools that you could have used.
I almost asked for a post hole digger, but in my head I thought, no, he's got the thing that attaches to the back of his tractor. That's not going to fit in my backyard.
Oh, but I have two.
I just kind of hand dug the holes.
By hand postal diggers. Yeah, you bet. Well, even when you use an auger, when you there's lots of loose dirt at the bottom of the hole, and so I almost always have a postal digger and take out the loose dirt. Just a couple of scoops.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was able to get through. I had to dig to find. I have 4 holes that are been refilled because I kept running into roots. It was near a big tree, and I would get down a little ways, and there'd be a big root.
You're like, so this is not where I want to dig the hole.
Slightly, so that I could get past the big roots. But finally figured it out.
That's funny.
It's awesome. All good. Yeah.
All right. Well, good for you. Good for you. Okay, well, we should stop talking about fires, I guess. Maybe start talking about something about security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, school's starting.
Maybe.
Maybe. Shouldn't laugh particularly, but I did see this one in ZDNet. This was an unfortunate ransomware attack. So the city of Hartford was about to start their first day of school, and they had everything planned, and they had to cancel due to a ransomware attack because the ransomware affected the IT systems that communicate with the bus company, and they had no way to, track and monitor the buses and where they were and heading to schools and whatnot. So they decided to delay the first day of school.
Oh.
And then because they couldn't do some other things, they were also forced to delay their online school. There's sections of online school. So ransomware continues to wreak havoc in more and more aspects, not just going after. Well,
yeah.
Now we're going after public schools. So,
well, hitting counties, city governments, stuff like that is something we've seen more and more of over the course of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Huh. Did they reopen? What's the so I can't. The article doesn't have info about what ransomware strain it was.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but it's they haven't. This was what would this be? Yesterday. So this was, they were starting the day after Labor Day, like
most
we normally do in Oregon. We normally would have started school yesterday as well, but they have already delayed school here until next Monday. So we start school next Monday here in Oregon. My kids are
right.
This week is go. You got to drive to the school, get your Chromebook and some of the other things set up. So next week is when classes officially start.
That's right. I hope that my wife is taking care of that, because I am not. I better remember to ask about that tomorrow.
Well, the other thing though about that is they were supposed to start yesterday and they canceled.
Oh, because that's the evacuation.
Because of the fires. And yeah, the high school is being used as one of the evacuation centers. But they have not canceled tomorrow. I think my boy is supposed to go tomorrow. So we haven't seen anything yet there. So yeah, the school will eventually begin. And hopefully the IT department for our school district is doing all it can to avoid a ransomware infection.
Well, it is interesting. I didn't realize that you had, or I didn't put two and two together because I did see the notes that you had done a ransomware attack, because I did one as well for my topic this week, which is, let's see, it was a Bleeping Computer article that Netwalker ransomware hits Pakistan's largest private power utility. So this is it's
crazy.
I didn't pull it out. Hold on.
Karachi.
That's right. So this is the power company. It's the sole electricity provider for Karachi, Pakistan, and it is Netwalker. Said that in the title, I guess. Serves 2.5 million customers and employs over 10,000 people, but it does not seem to be affecting power distribution, just their sort of IT systems. No online services, no support, customer support sort of thing. They do have in here in this article that says that the K Electric company hasn't contacted them or made any statements, but that that they were shown by another researcher the ransomware demand of nearly $4 million in Bitcoin. And if it's not paid within a week, it doubles, of course, put some pressure on there. And they also stole data and, are including the threat of releasing the data as part of the blackmail. which also is, something that we've seen more and more of over the course of the last couple of years. But the other interesting stuff in here, so the first of which is that they mention that there was a kind of a change in tactics in March of this year when the threat actors behind this began recruiting, or basically having a different go-to-market for themselves and doing ransomware as a service, focusing on enterprise networks. And the other interesting thing, the other thing I wanted to pull out and talk about here, it's kind of a second topic maybe, but related, is that Mcafee actually posted a breakdown of Netwalker not too long ago, about a month ago, at the beginning of August. And so I'll put the link to that article in here as well. But inside the Mcafee article,
our employer.
Yes. Sorry, and full disclosure. We both work for Mcafee, although not on the ATR team. But this article is from the Advanced Threat Research team, and it's quite a long article. And I guess it's interesting to look in here. You can see quite a bit of breakdown on, analysis of the ransomware itself. But they also very much note the breaking point from pre-March to post-March. And but then the other thing I really wanted to pull out wasn't really any of the breakdown of the malware, which is interesting but hard to describe audibly. But towards the end of the Mcafee article, they did a little bit of analysis of the financials, right? Because they're asking for payment in Bitcoin. So, of course, public ledger, you can follow the money. And so the comments in here were, in some of the ransomware demands that they've seen, they can see the Bitcoin addresses where you're supposed to send money. So, and they reused the addresses a couple of times. So, in the examples that are in the Mcafee article, there are 2 Bitcoin addresses, and so if they follow the transactions posted to those Bitcoin addresses, you can kind of see where it's going, even if you don't really know who controls those wallets. So, for example, in this particular case, the first incoming transaction to one of these is on the 1st of March. And then they can see the money both into and then also out of, right, what money that blockchain, Bitcoin address, where it transferred money to. And so when the outflow is going to, 4 different addresses and split 80, 10, 5, 5, that split matches what the advertisements are on underground forums for, how the money would be split in the ransomware as a service, transaction. So, and they can then see other payments into those addresses. And then that also gives secondary addresses that are, potentially and probably other partners in the overall, scheme. And where, the 80% cut is, I think, to the place, to the person, responsible for the initial infection. So let's see, this is, one of the comments here was that while the beneficiaries of the 5% cuts remain the same, the beneficiary of the 10% cut seems to change over time. Based on the forum posts, we assume these addresses also belong to the Netwalker actors. And then the other comment, I pulled out a couple other things in here. Of the 2 addresses uncovered by tracing the transactions, a total of 641 Bitcoin was held at the end of July. So that's about $7 million at the price at the time. And then the other quote that I pulled out is the total amount of extorted Bitcoin that has been uncovered by tracing transactions to these Netwalker related addresses is 2,795 Bitcoin between the 1st of March and the 27th of July. So
that's not chump change.
Yeah, that's where the estimate of 25 million US dollars came from. So that was one of the kind of top line items in the McAfee article. So yeah, there's a bunch more. So there's a nice chart here. In fact, maybe I'll put that as the image in the podcast metadata of, what money's flowing to where in the different addresses. Although it's kind of hard to read when you're only seeing the first 5 characters of the
right.
GUID. So then the McAfee article actually ends with a comparison and kind of similarity analysis with other types of ransomware, because they're kind of
derivative.
Yeah, derivative. Oh, that's a great word. Great word. They're related, oftentimes. So this is between, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about seven different types of or variants of ransomware, and kind of the percent relationship from code analysis, at least. So, and it also has information at the end on the MITRE tactics used, and some Yara rules for detection as well. So, if you are a defender, I know one of the things that we McAfee have been doing in our blog posts is actually putting indicators out that help, and rules or signatures or in McAfee parlance, exploit prevention rules or expert rules that can help detect these things. But check it out. That was what I pulled out this week.
Nice.
It was kind of.
I read through that. It is quite detailed. Nice job by the ATR team.
Yeah, it's a very, 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 very long blog. So it's good. All right, man. It has been a very long couple of days. Got something fun for me?
Yeah. You remember, I guess this would be 6 months ago?
I do.
My something fun was the Frogsicle.
I do.
The frog that basically hibernated by turning into an ice cube?
That's right.
Well, move over, Frogsicle. I'm going to introduce you to Birdsicle. So if you haven't clicked on this
clicked this link, yet, I'm clicking right now.
So click in here. This is a hummingbird that exists in the high Andes Mountains of Peru. And the little tiny bird is only 6 grams. And it has to
oh my gosh,
get the nectar from 500 flowers a day just to survive, to keep, to keep it alive. But then it's freezing up at those levels. So how does it survive overnight when it's not flying around getting nectar? Well, apparently it doesn't. These little hummingbirds enter a state of suspended animation, and the black metal-tail bird chills its body down to 3.26 degrees Celsius.
What in the heck?
And I know. And they're cold as rock. Now, I didn't pull it out, but so the thing here that I thought was interesting is, how did you find out that their internal body temperature gets down to 3 degrees? And apparently they took 26 different birds of 6 different species in cages and overnight, and basically inserted the equivalent of a tiny little rectal thermometer onto the inside of these birds. And that's how they got their temperature and measured heart rate, etc. And so during the day, these tiny little hummingbirds, their heart beats at 1,200 times per minute to flit around. But as they basically go into suspended animation, their heart rate plummets down to 40 beats a minute.
Holy moly.
So that's like insane. And then when the sun, that sun starts to go down, they start to freeze. The sun comes up, they start warming their bodies up, and their heart starts beating faster, and they start vibrating their muscles, and they're all of a sudden their eyes pop open, and they're zooming around looking for flowers. So I thought this was
okay.
Along with my frogsicle, now I've got a birdsicle.
Now you have a
I
birdsicle.
thought that was crazy cool.
All right, there's my title right there.
So.
Oh, that's okay. That's
and
awesome.
then I thought that was fun. And then the second one I have, I don't know if you've seen this, but Nintendo kind of quietly announced Mario Kart Live.
I saw a little video, but I didn't really read anything.
I think everybody has seen or played or knows what Mario Kart is, right? You run around and you throw shells at people. Well, leveraging augmented reality, you can actually play Mario Kart now in your living room. So you set up a track around your living room floor, and then you race in it. It's hard to describe. You just have to kind of watch the video and read the explanation. But it looks.
How do you set up the
fun,
track? That's what I want.
Where you'll actually, yeah. It looks like goofy fun. I have no idea how this is going to work, but the video is fun. I thought this might be another hit for Nintendo to kind of extend Mario Kart and people playing Mario Kart and messing around. It feels like it could be a little gimmicky as opposed to real entertaining, but depending on how much it costs, I think I'd want to give it a go. It looks fun.
Well, last week was about the AR, copy and paste, right?
Yep.
I think there's a lot of speculation, at least, that the same sensor is going to come to the iPhone this year. That's in the iPad from last year, and will have better ability to do depth perception. I don't know. AR is coming,
yep.
and I'm trying not to be the old man going, we didn't need that in my day. What's going to be fun? What's going to be fun with it? It's cool. But I don't have a VR setup, I don't have a,
make a 64K chip.
Yeah. Why would anybody need more? But it'll be interesting to see.
Anyways, there's my two something funs, because
all right.
I after the last few days, I felt like I needed something fun, so I went for two.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, I had another one of my weeks where I'm like, come on, I'm sure I did something fun this week. What did I do something fun? Surely I did something fun. And I think I will choose my something fun as a board game, because there's a little bit of a story here in that, I'm on video chats at work pretty much constantly. And I'm happy to, you can see my basement. I have the 80s, faux wood paneling walls. It's all good. Actually, they're probably, I don't know if they're 80s or late 70s. But whatever, it's okay. But I've got a bookshelf behind me. It's not staged. There's a bunch of crap on it, but I do have a bunch of board games on there. Are you laughing? It's so not staged. Yeah.
I like it. It's not staged. There's crap on it.
Yeah.
It's just matter of fact.
But anyway, so I was on a work call the other day with a guy that I hadn't actually worked with before, who was like, "Oh, hey, you have board games behind you." I was like, "Oh, yeah, of course. Hey, yeah, I've got a couple boys, and I like to play board games with my kids, and it's great." He's like, "I design board games." I'm like, "What?" And so he told me the name that of he's like, "Yeah, the one I probably the most popular one is this game, Karmaka." And I was like, well, send me a link. And so he sent me a link, and I was like, all right, I bought it on Amazon. And then on Monday night, the night of the windstorm, we were without power for, I don't know, I think the power went out around 7 o'clock at night. 6. It was basically as soon as we came in from trying to fix the tree and trying to fix the goat shelter that was blowing away. And we come in and the power's out. And it was like, okay, fun. So, but we were just made sandwiches, and then the board game had gotten there a day or two before, and so I was like, well, hey, let's play. So we did. So we played a couple of games of this it wasn't by candlelight, it was by fluorescent camp lantern, I guess, light.
Right.
But it was very enjoyable, and it was fun, and it's kind of cool. So the basic premise of the game is you start as a dung beetle, and you have to gain points in your life to transcend to the next highest level of the life. And if you don't, you just get reincarnated as at the same level, but you get a karmic ring, which you can then basically spend as points. So you progress even if you get reincarnated as a dung beetle multiple times. And so you basically transcend or you ascend to a snake and a wolf and an ape, and then to whatever the glowing figure is on the top. It was an enjoyable game. But part of the thing is that if you play a card to do something like against somebody else, that they can take, it's this whole thing of basically you get like 6 cards essentially per life to spend, and you have to get points in there. But one of the things you can do is you can push cards into what will become your deck in your future life in various ways. And if somebody plays a card against you to do something, you have the choice. They have the choice of taking that card and putting it in one of their future lives, so they could use it against you in the future. So it was a fun game. It was cool. So we played a couple of rounds of that, and so that's my something fun this week. It'll be a memorable thing. Sitting around a powerless house, playing a board game with my kids. It was good.
I was giggling because in my mental picture, I see a couple people sitting around trying to design a game, and someone says, "What if you start as a dung beetle?" And I just love that mental picture.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good.
That looks fun.
It's fun. All right. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go out and see if I see a glowing sky anymore, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, well, I am hoping that things clear up enough, because this Saturday is I should have said this in the intro, but this Saturday is our annual Mount St. Helens hike, and my boy is going with me for the first time this year.
Oh, fantastic!
So we're going to climb. It's now 20 of us. Just various people that hear about. We started out with me and one guy, and then it was a couple of years of just us, and then a couple of people we knew said, "Hey, we want to come," and it was like 4 or 5, and then it got to 6 and 8, and then 12, and the last couple of years it's been 20. So
wow.
But it's fun. So I'm sure next Wednesday I will chat all about either having climbed Mount St. Helens or disappointed that I wasn't able to because of hashtag 2020.
Smoke / yeah, whatever. I did not leave the house today, but my wife did with, I think, a doctor's appointment or something. And she said that, once you drove 5 miles away, it's sunny, nice blue skies. But once, at least here, we've got this gray red kind of over haze with this bizarre light. That the pictures I've taken for the last couple of days are all this, you kind of like you got an orange filter over the sun, right?
Like you're on Mars.
Like you're on Mars.
This is what I picture.
That's probably true.
this is what I picture you would, what you would see, what you'd be normal
Right.
Martian
Martian.
photography.
That's true. That's true.
It
Yeah.
was amazing how dark it was at 3:00 this afternoon as well. I mean, it
Right.
was so the smoke had covered the sun so dense that it was dark out.
Yeah. Well, I think so long as there isn't another one burning up by Mount St. Helens, I think that you'll be okay because it's far enough.
Yeah,
north.
I've been watching the weather, and yeah, it looks to be a fabulous day for hiking. So
all right, my fingers will be crossed for you.
As long as winds die down, we still have a few days yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, yeah, keep us posted. Maybe that'll be something fun next week. Who knows?
I'm sure it will be. Well, I hope it is. All right.
All right.
Have a good night, John.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Eric. Bye.
Bye.